one of the trailers we had, I swear it's when we were at the big gym, and maybe when we first got the trailer, we didn't hook it up, and the shit fell off when we went out of
We
the gym, and it
Yeah,
fell.
what happened was the hitch was on.
Yeah.
The hitch was on, or no, I can't remember. I just remember the chain, we had chained it like we were supposed to. But I think we didn't put the hitch thing down or something.
Oh,
Oh
something
no, I
happened to
know what
me.
it was. We didn't crank the thing up. So when we
Yeah.
went into the dip where the driveway was,
Yeah.
the trailer, the stick thingy
Yeah.
that it sits on, it hit the ground.
Yeah.
It hit the ground, I think, and
Okay.
unlatched the
Oh,
trailer
fuck
thing,
him.
and then it was just the chains holding it in place.
I'm glad it wasn't
Yeah,
the parade or something.
I hello,
Hello,
welcome back to
grandmas.
not
Right. Wah, wah, wah.
grandma's. Grandma's not right. Not right.
Not right.
Nope. And we're here for
Did.
part two of our the automobiles, the vehicles that we've driven throughout our lives.
Yes.
Not all of them that we've owned necessarily. Some of them we were just driving because we needed to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and we'll get to it, but there's so many that somebody in my life flipped, and I would get used to driving a car that was kind of cool, and then like, we're selling it. Like, so
Oh,
I probably had about five more cars than you did just based on that
in
alone.
that,
But
probably.
yeah, that's okay.
So let's see. How was your week? I know some of your week, but what stories do you want
I
to
don't want to
tell?
be
What
TMI,
story?
but well, some of my week was what was it last week of the school year, and then this next week starts summer school, um, which is only 4 hours, so that'll be good. And then it was just funny because I brought, I had my daughter drop my granddaughter off at the class, like right at the tail end, and so she met the kids or whatever, and she played with some of them. And the last time she came, she's really shy. And there's walkers and wheelchairs. Some have trachs, and they have tube feeding, and and she was a little nervous last year when she was 6.5, and I just didn't know. I know she won't be rude to them, but just shy and scared. And I always tell her about the kids, and she has Uncle Jason, so she knows about special kids and all that. But she did so well. She played with them,
Oh,
and
that's nice.
yeah, it was great. I'm so proud of her. But anyway, so also on the last day of school, which should have been cause to celebrate, and we would have done our podcast last night. I was at work, and TMI, if there's anybody who's squeamish about womenly stuff or whatever, and you don't want to hear this, then turn it off for about the next 60 seconds, because I went to the bathroom, and I don't look at my pee, especially if I go number two. I do a courtesy flush of my own, or if I'm at work, and and then that's it. So the pee is gone. Sorry, but I look down and I'm like, that guy looks like off. Like, was there? In my mind, I'm all, did the janitor put some chemicals in there? Something I didn't see because I was the first to use that particular bathroom. And so then I asked my coworker who understands me, and I can say gross stuff to her, and I said, dude, did you use that bathroom? Was there anything weird about it? And then I told her, she goes, um, okay, well, sounds like you might have something. Maybe you should. So then
You think?
progressively over the day, it got darker and darker. It went to like pink lemonade, and then it was like, yeah, then it just was bad. So I went to urgent care, and then they said I had a UTI, which I didn't even know. I haven't had one since college. I'm very good about keeping clean and dry and all that, but I was just like, what? Okay, I had no other symptoms, so I'm on antibiotics, which is why I'm sans alcohol right now, which I'm very upset about. The old me would have totally just drank. I didn't care, like, oh, antibiotics, you're not supposed to drink, or whatever, which I probably shouldn't with some of my medicines anyway, but I don't drink to get drunk. So, but anyway, I do have to tell you one more thing about this because I have my bad elbow and then this is happening. I fell at work. Oh, that was the thing that happened. I fell. Ooh, don't say at work. I fell. I slipped and it was okay. And I thought it would hurt my back at first and it is sore, but it hurt my back in another place, unlike the disc I have. So, and my elbow, I'm just jacked up. But I laugh because today I put an ice pack on and bandaged my elbow with a brace and continued to lean on the sink to wash dishes, And I always think of that thing where it says me, hurt, broken this or that, will clean the
Yeah.
entire house, like a true martyr with whatever. I'll do it with crutches. I can do it. Also, me, when I'm perfectly healthy, will scroll for 5 hours and do absolutely nothing. It's like, it's pretty much the truth.
Yep, it is the truth about you.
But it is a wake up call. Every time these things happen, I think that's why we do it. I think that's why oh shit, I'm hurt. But,
Yeah.
well, mom, just sit down. No, I got to get stuff done because you know that it's going to take you longer now. And you feel like, oh shit, I need to appreciate when I'm healthy and start getting more shit done. If I can do it when
Yeah.
I'm gimped out, I can do it, But anyway, so that's pretty much my week. What about you, sis?
Let's see. Well, we spent most of the week up at the cabin getting all the leaves raked up and
Okay.
just doing general maintenance stuff up there. And we had Jace with us, so he enjoyed it and he helped us rake leaves. He,
Yeah, I
was
saw those
really-
videos. That's
He was
nice.
really patient, really good.
Good.
So
He didn't
it
stomp
was-
his feet once?
He didn't. I was really surprised.
Oh.
He did a really good job, and yeah. So we did that. Went to the dump about, I don't know, 6 times. I can't even remember how many times we went to take the leaves and dump them so we could fill more. I mean, there's a lot of leaves around that property.
bet.
So
Yeah.
it was a lot of work. I will tell you that much.
Nice.
But I somehow was able to get through it and not feel. I mean, I was tired, but I was able to do things that, I guess sometimes it because there are things that I try to do and I feel exhausted or I feel like I'm in pain.
Yeah.
And then other times I'll do something like that that's just heavy duty, labor intensive work. And I mean, we worked all day for 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
And I worked up a sweat, got a little bit of a sunburn under the trees,
Oh, yeah, that's very deceiving.
So I just thought, wow, okay, this is a good sign. So I'm not falling apart. I'm not getting too old for things. So it was a really kind of pleasant wake up call to help me understand that I've still got some years left to get myself back in shape. So it made me a
Well-
little more motivated.
See, that's similar to what I kind of feel like, I was just talking about that if I can do it when I'm sick, yeah, or broken, then I should be able to do it when I'm healthy. And that's funny because the teacher I work for, she's the same age as me, and she works out, and she said she just made her personal best of, I guess, deadlifting or whatever. What was 200 and something? I go, dang, girl. I said, and I made a joke. I go, see, I can do cartwheels and handstands. I said, but you're in shape. I said, and she's Seventh-day Adventist, so she's very, good about what she puts in her body. And I
Yeah.
told her, and she goes, yeah, but I can't do cartwheels and handstands. I go, but that's what I'm trying to say is that
Yeah.
I can do stuff, but that doesn't mean my body is healthy. And I said, I'm really amazed that she can do that. And she goes, yeah, 3 years ago I started working on this. So she's only been doing this for 3 years in her life. And we've
Yeah.
been athletes our whole life. And I'm like, there's that part of me that feels, oh, it's just all over. My back, I've got stenosis. I got this. I got arthritis. I got all this jacked up. And my daughter's like, oh, well, it's because you did that to your body. If you had never been an athlete, maybe you wouldn't have those problems. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So I feel you. It's like on the one end, you feel like, nah, I can't do that stuff anymore. And every time I do, I get hurt or an overuse syndrome injury or whatever.
Right.
But then you do something like you said, well, if I have the energy to clean the house for 12 hours straight for a party the next day,
Yeah.
so it's really hard to keep that balance
It is.
in your mind too.
It is. Yeah. And I think the environment up there makes a difference. I think the elevation might play a role. I know that it lowers my blood sugar when I'm up there.
Wow,
My
that's
glucose
cool.
is lower.
Okay.
I don't know if it affects blood pressure. Don't know about that. Um, but it's cooler. It's, just more comfortable. So I don't know if it's just psychosomatic, because I'm up in this beautiful forest and motivated to,
Maybe.
I don't know. Because I'm motivated at my own house to clean my house and so on, but to go outside and do yard work, unless it's in the middle of winter, I don't want to go outside and do yard
Yeah.
work because it's so
Yeah.
hot, So
Yeah,
anyway,
we went to Home Depot this morning. Jesse's like, I want to go to Home Depot and get stuff for the yard. I go, okay, I'll go too. And so, the front where you guys had put those little bushes with the yellow flowers that died because they were kids. Sorry. Well, and it's okay to have a change. And they looked nice and it was good, but they just weren't getting watered. And so Mikey and his friend dug up that whole area, got all the
Wow.
rocks out. I know. I said I felt bad because Cheryl and Mike. I know it was like 12
It's
years
not our
ago,
house
but you still.
anymore. Who cares?
I know, but you just feel bad. I feel bad
No.
about stuff like that. I'm a weirdo that goes, they put a lot of work into that, and now look what we did. No, but they put like the dark wood chips and little
Uh-huh.
pavers and desert plants, which
Oh,
makes
nice.
more sense to keep it. Then they won't
Sure.
die. It's
Oh,
harder
that's
to
nice.
kill.
Because
Yeah.
right now, doing anything that's drought tolerant that doesn't
Yes.
need as much water is smart. So
Well, and then and then you knew the main line, the sewer thing where they put it, so that's all. They took the scalloped edge out. And they said, "Do you want us to put the rocks back?" And I'm all, "No, just leave it." And so we went and bought plants, and so we're just
Great.
going to do a whole new thing. So it's just nice,
well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Those little things that we do make such a big difference. And I know,
Definitely.
like at the cabin, um, the cabin has a new door because the old door was
Oh, I love that door.
it
That's
was
sad.
starting to get it had a couple of little cracks in it.
Oh, yeah.
Because after the snow piling up for years and years, even though, they tried to keep it seasoned
Yeah.
or keep it, protected.
Conditioned.
But anyway, it's so old. It just eventually started getting
Wasn't that like
cracked.
one solid piece?
No, well,
Oh.
I don't remember. But the one
Okay.
that we have now it's a
Oh.
solid piece of, from a tree from, the area.
Exciting.
And it's a beautiful piece of wood. It's I don't know. I liked the old door better, but this is a
Okay.
beautiful piece of wood. But what we're gonna do is we've got these big brass, or copper or whatever they are, uh, fake door hinges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're gonna put those back on and
Okay,
get
cool.
a screen that matches the era of the house, and then the Hunter cabin sign. We have that. Cheryl, John's wife, redid it, so we're gonna
Oh,
put that
nice.
back up. So little
Okay.
things, and we're gonna go order screens and little things like that. So
That
it's
does
been
make a
really
difference.
motivating, and it makes me motivated when I come home to pay attention to the little things at my own house that I need to do too. So that's been good.
Okay. Good.
Anyway, yeah.
Nice.
So we'll talk more about that because 4th of July we're going to be going up
Yay.
there together. So we'll do some. I think we'll do some video. Maybe we'll make our podcast or our show, whatever you want to call it. We'll do a field trip.
Yeah.
we filming stuff and talking to each other all over the cabin property, and we'll just film that, and that'll be
Yeah.
in July. So,
But
that'd be cool.
anything we do that might be down at the dock, we definitely have to
Oh,
talk.
yeah.
If we're talking, we can only talk going downhill because there's no way in hell I can
Well,
talk and go uphill again.
I don't know. I know. But anyway,
The last
I'm
time I
planning
almost
to
died on your property.
film everything. Yeah. Ooh, we'll talk about that because there are some stories from last year.
Okay.
Mike almost had to call EMTs to come and get me.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah, because you did fine when I was struggling this last time I went up there this summer. You were doing great.
Yeah, I had my blood sugar dropped.
Oh, blood sugar. Oh,
And
yeah.
I
I'm
was
talking about
I
heart
was
bleed.
in bad trouble.
Okay. Oh,
Somehow
boy.
I made it up to the cabin, and then he
All
gave
right.
me some food and I instantly felt better. But
Okay.
yeah, if I hadn't been able to get back up into that cabin,
That
I
sounds
just
familiar now. I'm sure I heard that story, but I forget everything. So,
anyway. All
all
right,
right.
enough of that. We did it
Uh,
again, didn't we? 15 minutes
only
of
13 minutes.
blabbing.
Not
13
too
minutes of
bad.
blabbing. 14
That's
minutes.
better.
Whatever.
I think that's better.
Anyway, all right. So on to part 2 of vehicles we have to. And by the way, I haven't noticed. I didn't check today, but I haven't noticed any comments. So I don't know. People, please comment. We want to hear your stories too. Comment
We need to
on
get
our
those
video.
shorts out. We need to get the shorts out.
Yes,
and
we
needs
do.
to be on TikTok. Those people will go. They'll
I've
check
got
it
an
out.
idea that I'll talk to you about later for that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I think we left off with my black Eclipse. And so it would be your turn to talk about your next car.
Well, yeah, because I think I left off too where my first husband had wrecked my Ford Festiva that I got before the marriage.
Yes. So let me do
Right.
this. Let me go review. I'm just gonna go through them really fast.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I need to. I'm not tagging. I just want to open it. Okay. Oh, I know why. Again, I'm in edit mode. I've got to pay attention and know what I'm doing here. Okay, so there's that one. Now I got to share. Share this one. All right. So we had the family van.
Yes.
We had Dad's truck, which I have an actual photo of that now that Mom sent
Oh,
me.
good. Okay.
We have my Rambler,
Right.
my Falcon,
Yep.
our Colt, because you drove the Colt too.
Right.
Dad's old Ranchero,
Yep.
the Camaro that I drove, the other Camaro that I drove, the Blazer that I drove, the Caravan that I drove, the van, and then my Eclipse.
Yep.
So now we are on to your stories.
All right. Well, I had the Colt was the first car I drove, and then it was the Mercury Marquis, and then it was the Dodge Aspen, the one that I crashed,
Yes.
and then I had that '68 Rambler station wagon before for a little bit in a pinch, and then
Right.
had the Ford Festiva, which
Okay.
got crashed.
Yes, and I think, let's see if I have that one.
Oh, and well, while you're doing that, after the Ford Festiva, I had a
Is that it?
70. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's the actual crashed car right there.
Wow, man, yeah, that's
Funny. Okay.
Yeah, and then I had a '76 neon orange Datsun V210 hatchback.
Got that one too.
Got
Here
that
we
one
go.
too. And
Yeah. Let's see.
one that clamped on my back when I was trying to get stuff out of it, and no hydraulics on the hatchback, and it bit down on my back.
Well, here you go.
All right, let's see it then. It did have air conditioning though, so that was one good thing. Oh my God, it's the
There you
actual
are in all
one.
your 80s glory.
Oh my, yeah. I was pregnant with
Or
with my
90s.
son right there, and yeah. So I was pregnant, I think, when that thing hit me in the back when I was trying to get stuff out. That's so funny.
Oh gosh.
Yep.
So, and then you had, what was next?
So after the Festiva got wrecked and we had that bright orange car, and then I think together we got, it was an '89 or a '90 Escort Pony, a Ford. I think it was called a Ford Escort Pony. And it had those automatic seat belts when you'd sit in. I hated that. You'd sit in because I
Wow,
was so
yeah.
used to putting it on, and then you do it, and then you go in and you're like, oh man, and you get all confused. I don't know what happened to that. I mean, I drove it. It didn't have any air. It was just stock, no air, nothing. It was just the basic. And I know it had one of those, we were just talking about that today, one of those things when the hatch came down. It had like a cardboard, not cardboard, like carpet covered hard little plastic thing, a
Oh yeah.
tray, like a
Yeah.
tray to hide your stuff in the hatchback. And I used to change the diapers on that thing. I remember that.
Smart.
And then I think when we split, because we were only together for 5 years total. So I think once we split, and like a couple years after that, he probably took that car, and then I kept the orange car. And then after that, I'll just mention my two cars after that in a row were from our stepdad's parents because they were aging. One was a 78 Ford Granada. It was brown and it was fancy as shit. It was a 78, but it only had like the miles on it was ridiculously low.
Yeah.
And of course, I ran that one, I'm sure, into the ground, who knows, but it was a great car. Then we got an 81 yellow Toyota Corolla. I think it was a Corolla. And same thing. The mileage on it was ridiculous. And we drove that until we could drive it no more because we were really hard on our cars. So yeah, and then but you can go next. That was
Okay.
that because the other one we kind of shared with the gym, and we can talk about that one. I don't think
Yeah.
we talked about that one.
Let's
Or
see.
did
Okay.
we?
I don't
think we
so.
did talk about the '86 Dodge Ram with the carpet kit.
Yeah,
and
we talked
everything.
about it. I think we said we were gonna share that later or something.
Because I have other stories about that truck too.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, so when Mike and I got together, I traded my Eclipse in for a new truck for him for work because his business was just starting and he needed a bigger truck. So
Right.
this truck, this was the little Ranger, Ford Ranger. That was his truck. So I traded my Eclipse in for a bigger truck and I started driving this one. So that was
I
that
remember
one.
Yep.
And then Papa Dave gave me this, gave this to us. And so I started driving this, was it a Cougar? Yeah. So I started driving that and,
Yeah, I remember. I think we did share that because I remember joking that we called it Gold Member.
the Gold Member. Oh, we did talk about that. Yeah, you're
That's
right.
okay though, but that's all right.
And this
Gold
was the
Member.
truck that I got, that we traded the Eclipse in for Mike's
okay.
work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I eventually was able to buy the Mini Me. So this
The
was
Mini
the
Me.
Ford, the what is it called? The Sport. The
Oh,
sport
I
track
do
or
remember
whatever.
that. Yeah.
I love that. That was a cool little truck. So that we
Yeah.
called that Mini Me. All right, so your turn again.
Oh.
What was next after that?
Well, after that, it was the Dodge Ram. It was a 1986 Dodge Ram with a shell on it, and it was red and white. It was like the red with the white stripe. And you bought that for the gym, quote unquote, the gym, to justify getting me another vehicle too
Well, I
at the
think
same
it's just-
time.
And we bought that to tow the gymnastics trailer. Oh no,
Well-
that was before we used it to tow the trailer, but we
Okay.
bought it before we moved. So that was years before that we bought that.
But right, so we bought that. We were still when we got that, we were still at 7th Street Park. We were still
Yeah,
at 7th Street
I-
Park.
But I know, we bought it for a couple reasons.
Well, we bought it because we were doing
Use it-
demonstrations.
Yeah, we could use it to haul stuff for demonstrations.
And we had to haul shit down to the new gym in '98.
That's true. That's true. Yep.
So here, let me give you a couple. I'll go as fast as I can, but let me just tell you a couple memories I
Okay.
have of it, and then if you have, I don't want to step on anything you have, but when we used it for our family, and I was such a stickler for rules, so I can't believe that I did this. I didn't like the kids being in the back with the shell. I was just so worried about that. I didn't think it was safe. But we let the kids, on occasion go in the back of the shell because it had the carpet kit with the
Right.
wood and the little bench seats, the shag carpet, and it was nice when we
Right.
got it, of course. Because I think whoever had it probably parked it under a carport or something. Because when we had it, somehow it got water damage from rain and stuff, and it slowly got wood rot. So obviously it just didn't take care of it as well. But anyway, so the kids would sit. They were small. They were like probably 8 and maybe 6 and 7 years old. I don't know, but they sat and shared the middle seat belt, which I would never do that. We only did that when we were going around town. But I just look back and think only when we were all Jesse and I were driving together. But when I picked them up from school or something, they just sit in there. But anyway, one time our cousin Pat M. I'll never forget. We were having a family reunion or something was happening, or a party, birthday party, and the family was at the gym. And he loves telling this story. He would tell because he couldn't believe how strong I was, and he tells it like, "Yeah." She said, "Can you help me take the shell off of the truck?" Or put it on. I think it was taking it off because we needed it for the next day or something.
Uh-huh.
And so he said that he expected, to carry all the weight. And he said, I felt it go, "Ugh." And he said, I couldn't believe how strong she was. And I just
Yep.
always laugh at that story because, we talk about how strong we were and we really underestimate that when someone
Well-
else says, oh my God, you guys are strong as shit,
We used that truck to go pick up those. I don't know if we talked about this. We might have already. I don't know. But this to pick up that set of old uneven bars, parallel bars.
Yes,
Remember that?
we did talk about
Heavy,
that.
heavy
They
parallel
almost
bars.
snapped the whole back.
And we had to move it ourselves. There was no one to help us, so we had to
Right,
lift
right.
it onto the tailgate and then lift the back and shove it in, and then unload it when we got there. And that was heavy.
Yeah, we were strong as shit.
But
That's how I
we
blew
were.
my bladder out.
Yeah, well, that's why our bodies are ruined. But we've
Well,
talked about that
also-
before.
We did. Also, that portable tumble truck we had would fold in half, and then we turned it on its side. And when we had to
Later.
open the tailgate, and that thing went exactly to the edge of that tailgate, it perfectly
Yes.
fit in that truck.
It did.
So that truck, and Jesse and I took that truck to like New Mexico. We took it every. I loved that Dodge Ram. That was
Got
a
a
great
good,
vehicle.
a lot of good use out of that
Yeah, we
truck
did.
for a lot of reasons.
I don't know. I
So,
think.
was there
Oh,
something?
Oh my God, I got so many more. So you go ahead and you
Oh,
have
okay,
a turn.
well,
But
here's
that
my
was in
long-
19. That was in like 1995 or 96, I think, when we got that.
Okay. So I would, at that time, 95, 96, and then you drove that, and what other car did you have with that?
I can't remember because we had so many like back and forth. We could have still had the yellow because I know when Jesse and I got
You
married.
had a bug
in
at one time.
in 95. Oh my God, I
What-
forgot I didn't even. Oh no, I didn't think I did put that on there. Those were side ones because it wasn't very
Yeah.
long. Okay, so we
But-
had a red bug that he had got from somebody because I think someone's father passed away or something. So what happened was he went on tour for about a year. That was the other thing too. Around the time we got that Dodge Ram and all, so at some point he went on tour for theater shows for like a
Uh-huh.
whole year. And I remember that bug, the accelerator wire snapped, and in front of your house on Avenue C,
Front of our
we
house,
were trying
yeah.
to fix it because that Ford Granada we had, we changed the fuel filter the fuel filter by ourselves,
By
in the
ourselves,
rain.
in the
You were
rain.
holding an umbrella while I fixed it.
Yep.
So we were like, oh, we could fix that. We could fix this bug. And I tried and tried. I looked at the manual. I bought the new thing. I don't know what I did, but I
It was
tried.
a cable or something that.
It was a cable, and I
coming off,
just,
yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So when I think he got rid of it when he got back. I also had a green bug. Oh, I kick myself for not keeping that. It was like when we bought it, it was only like $1,200, and even in the 90s, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Or no, that was almost the 2000s actually when I got that one. But we could talk about that. But I actually sold that to pay the gym rent. So that had to have been after you were
Wow.
out of the gym. 'Cause
Wow.
I sold it so I could pay the rent on the gym one month.
Yikes.
I
Well,
cry about
we're-
that.
speaking of desperate times, we're heading into those times for
Yes,
me.
we're heading into those times.
So I mentioned that we had Mike's F-150, and then I had the little Ford Sport Track, and Mike's business was flourishing, and then some things happened. There were a lot of things that happened with,
Oh, yeah.
with illness. There's a lot of things that
Yes.
happened with just mental breakdowns.
Yes.
A lot of things that happened with the housing market in general.
Yeah.
And we ended up upside down in our house, on our loan, and like so many people at around 2006, 2007,
Well, the
we
gym was to
lost.
blame. The gym was to blame for some of that too.
Well, yes and no, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to blame for most of it. No, the only
Okay.
thing was we couldn't get rid of the house because of a lien that was on it from something from the gym.
Right, right.
So it was very complicated.
Yes.
And then but the house was worth less than we owed on it.
Okay.
So we were trying to get a short sale done. There was just all this stuff going on.
Right, right. Was that the Avenue D
Anyway.
house?
That was the Avenue D house, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So we eventually negotiated to just, give up the house basically and try to, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but let's just
No,
say
no. Yeah.
we trusted a lot of people along the way that were trying to be helpful, and we got ourselves into deeper problems.
Right,
And
right.
then at one point, and it was overwhelming, and like I said, there was a lot of mental illness issues going on.
Yes.
But at one point, we had moved into this house of a friend, and we thought that we were going to be able to get back on our feet and everything. And so we were working on strategy to make sure we caught up on all the payments.
Yes.
And what happened was my truck, I was behind a couple months on my truck
Right.
because we had been trying to pour everything into paying the mortgage. And so I was backsliding on my truck. And then Mike's was caught up, but then the engine blew. So he had to start driving mine. And then he was like, I'm not going to keep paying a payment on something if the engine's blown. They can come get it, So, but before the engine blew, instead of paying my truck, we paid his because he needed it for hauling all the stuff for work, right?
Right.
So we were playing this game back and forth,
Yeah.
paying one, then paying the other, So
Yeah.
eventually what happened was his engine blew. So then we only had my truck.
Right.
So one night I get a phone call, like 2 a.m, and this man says, yes, ma'am, I'm here to take your truck. If there's anything of value that you'd like to come and get out of it, I'm going to allow you to do that. I'm out front right now.
Oh.
So at 2 a.m, I go out and I have to unload everything out of that little sport track, and he hauls it away. I watch my car go away.
Yeah.
And so we're
I
there
got a
with
story similar.
a broke down truck, and so no way to get to work, no way to get the kids to get Miranda to school,
I remember
So the next
that.
morning we were calling around, and Mike called his brother. They had an old work truck that they let us borrow, and let me show you what it looks like. Whoops, I gotta share the screen real quick. So
Sorry if I'm moving around. I don't know. Just uncomfortable.
So that was the truck that we borrowed.
Yep,
It was
I
kind of
remember
our saving grace because it was the only wheels we were going to have.
Yeah.
Now, I could take Miranda anywhere I needed. Mike could take it to work, whatever. But if me and Miranda and Mike and Jason were to try to go anywhere, we wouldn't fit. So it was kind of a, we had to figure out how to navigate life with this truck. So that was.
How long did you do that for? Would you say?
It was from let's say 2007. I want to say 6 to 8 months maybe.
Hey, but that's
And-
not
and
when you
like-
got gold member.
No, this was long after.
Oh, okay, okay.
This was. I remember. I remember I was in that truck. There were 2 instances in that truck. Incidents that
Incidences.
made me feel so. Just it was a wake up to how what other people go through. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So one was I was taking Miranda to a party that was in Chapman Heights. So it was in this very affluent neighborhood, right?
Yes.
So I'm driving that truck into the neighborhood to drop her off at a party. I drive away after dropping her off, and I'm heading back home, and a sheriff is coming toward me and does a U-turn and gets right on my back and pulls me over. And I'm like, what did I do, you know? He said, I just noticed that one of your taillights is, but you weren't behind me. Why did you turn around and follow me?
Yeah.
Well, your truck matches the description of a report we got. Oh, okay. So what I gathered from what he said was my truck was in this affluent neighborhood driving around looking for the house, and they reported me because they saw it as a strange broken down truck driving through their neighborhood and it didn't belong there. Anyway, so that was
your
that
white
one.
privilege didn't save you this time.
White privilege did not save me, not in Yucaipa, because if you're poor, you know, you don't matter.
It's a whole other
Anyway,
level. Yeah.
the other time was when it was during when they had like the market night on California Street and our gym was
I
there.
remember this. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
So I pulled the truck up and there were already people parked everywhere. So I was going to have to figure out where to park. So real quick, I was just going to park by the little candy store across the alley. They weren't there. No one was there, right? So I parked there real quick. They were closed. And I ran in to let you know I was here, and I was going to, you know, and someone says, hey, is that your white truck out there? And I said, yeah, why? And they said, well, the sheriff's there, and they said they're going to tow it. I'm like, what? So I go out there, and I said, hey, this is my truck. What's going on? And there was this big young guy, you know, and then there was this kid I went to school with him, who was his little assistant.
Okay.
And they said, yes, is this your vehicle? I said, well, we've borrowed it from a relative, but yes, I'm driving it. And they said, well, the registration's expired. And I said, well, I wasn't aware because it's not my vehicle, but I will take care of that. And they said, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to tow it because your registration's expired and you're parking somewhere where you shouldn't be parking. And he said, do you stay here somewhere? I said, do I stay here? He said, where do you stay? I said, where do I stay? I said, if you mean where do I live in Yucaipa, and the address is right there on my license. But ma'am, seriously, where do you stay? I live in Yucaipa. I grew up in Yucaipa, and I look at the guy. I said, Stanley, you went to high school with me. You know me. This is where I live. I said, and that's my business right there. My sister and I own that business right there, and that's where I'm going. Ma'am. You know, it was like he didn't believe me.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my truck. I'm going to unlock that gate at my business, and I'm going to pull the truck inside that gate because it's my right to park there. And then he got a call. So he said, all right, just make sure you do park there and you get that registration taken care of. I said, I will. And so he had to go. But I was fuming. It was like total profiling of me because I have an old broken down truck. It's like, you know, it really, really made me realize just how...
In my mind, I always thought there was something about the license plate, but I didn't remember what it was. And then
It was a registration.
That was the registration.
Yeah.
But I remember because I was there with one of the parents. It was the one parent that used to hotbox her kids in the car. That parent. And then, it's a long story, but she was a little off center, but she cared. She was nice and she cared.
Yeah.
And it was just her and I were in there, and you came in, and I remember that. And then but I also remember, I think you had went out, and then you needed your wallet, so you had to come all the way back because you came in and you were upset, and you know, like we both would do, like
throwing things around.
You were upset and like tears in your eyes, and the mom was like, is there anything I can do? Like, she felt so genuinely bad for you in that moment. It was like no matter all the things that she put us through, you could see that she really cared in that moment. She goes, I feel so bad. And then I had to stay in the gym. I couldn't come with you because I had to stay and monitor the gym, and I didn't know what was going on. And then when you came back, I remember that story, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, without that truck, I wouldn't have been able to take Miranda to school. And I had to drive Mike to work in that truck. I had to drive him to his jobs. And
Yeah.
so we had to share that one truck, and it was just, it was all we had. And then a friend of ours had an old Jeep that he wanted to give us that was inoperable. So it was registered, it wasn't registered. We had to fix some things on it before we could change the title and register it.
Oh, okay.
So we did all the fixing we needed. It was a really cool old Jeep. I don't know if I have a picture of that or not, but it was a really cool old Jeep, like a 70, not a 74.
Like a Jeep
94?
Cherokee? Was it a Jeep Cherokee or
It
something?
was, yeah, something like that, an old
Okay.
red Jeep. And that was a
Okay.
fun thing to drive. It was so
Yeah.
fun. And that one, the backup lights weren't working, and then the tail lights weren't working. So we got the tail lights fixed by repairing the fuses and the wiring.
Right.
We couldn't figure out how to get the backup lights working. So
Oh,
I got a
do
computer. I'm doing
I
all this
do.
research. I'm like, and everything is saying that it's going to be like $1,200 to $1,500 because they have to pull the transmission out in order to fix whatever it
Oh
might
my
be.
God.
And I kept telling the backup lights have to have something to do with putting it in reverse. I said, so logically to me, there's got to be something wrong with whatever connection is there between the transmission when you put it in reverse
Right.
to trigger the lights to come on.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something wrong in there, and he was frustrated, and of
Yeah.
course, because, who's going to think I know anything? I'm not ragging on him about that, but in
No,
general,
but they never believe us.
they're like, yeah. So I look it up, blah, blah, blah,
Okay, Cheryl.
and yeah. Oh, well, that's real sweet, honey. That kind of thing. So I look it up and I show him this article that tells about this little part that has this spring in it that affects the backup lights. And it's in the transmission. But it says you do not have to take the transmission out. You don't have to fix it from the bottom. Take the panel off where the shifter is.
Yeah.
And you get in there, and it showed exactly what to get out. There's this little spring, and you had to just spray WD-40 on the spring and then put it back, and then put everything back together, and your lights should work. So $10 for a can of WD-40 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
instead of $1,500. So Mike said, well, he said, we might as well try it. He said, obviously, it's not going to make it any worse,
Mm-hmm.
So he tried it, did everything it said, put it all back together, worked. So within a couple days, we were able to go down to the DMV and get the
Nice.
title to it and register it, and then I had a vehicle to drive. So
So, I was going to mention too on that note that the Dodge Ram that was really weird. It had like the cargo light, on the top, and there was something about the fuses, and I tried to mess around and buy fuses because there was a weird thing that we tried. How do we get that to work? And I couldn't figure out, like, you could only turn one switch on inside, but not the outside. It was just really bizarre. I just remember there was an issue, but it's funny because I thought it didn't work that time. I'm like, I'm going to fix it. And I
And
looked
it
at the
didn't, yeah.
manual and I did all the stuff and it still didn't fucking work right. So I'm like, whatever. It wasn't important. It was one of those things like, I need to know why it doesn't work.
yeah, that's how I am. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle that I'm determined to solve, Anyway,
Oh,
so
gosh.
when did you start driving or you guys get the Mercedes?
Oh, that was till way later.
Okay, so
That
you
was
need to
way
catch
later.
up because
Okay, well-
that's coming for me.
Okay, well, first of all, one of the coolest cars we had was, I don't know what year it was. It was a 90s. I think it was a 90s something. It was an Isuzu Amigo.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you could take the same thing. You take the little top off there's just the back part. And that was one of those where we only had it for a little bit. I took that thing to Fallbrook one time, and we really enjoyed that. But that was one that I felt bad because there was just the metal from the top and the back, or whatever the back was
Oh,
made
yeah.
of. And I was trying to, I brake checked. The kids weren't wearing their seatbelt. They were pissing me off, and I brake checked. And instead of
no.
punishing one kid, the other kid got punished because hit
Aw.
their head on it. I never brake checked after that. I felt awful. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So we had that. We had the best stretch that we had was we had a 2002 Ford Taurus, I think, or a 90. I don't know. My mind's. It could have been a 98 or something. It was, but we had these two Ford Tauruses, and they were really good because Jesse's a big guy, you know, and he felt comfortable. That was just a car
Yeah.
that was really comfortable for him. We had a maroon one and we had a black one. The black one was newer, and those were great. We got a lot of mileage out of those. But my
Yeah.
story about getting into trouble was we had a 2004. I want to say it was brand new, but I feel like it was like owned for somebody owned it for like 6 weeks and had to give it back or something. So technically, we were the second owners, kind of thing. It was a black PT Cruiser, and we
Oh, I
called it the
remember
PT.
that.
We've called it the PT Loser just because everybody was calling them that, and we just thought it was funny. But that one got repoed. I'll never forget
Oh,
standing in the driveway, going bye bye, because that's when the recession kind of hit,
yeah.
and his boss had to tell him, "We're cutting you down from your full salary to like seven. What was it? 25% of your salary." I don't know. They cut him
Wow.
down to like by seventy five
Yeah.
percent that year because and that's when we started our own business. That he said, "You can have your own business and compete with us. That's fine, but
Right.
we can't pay you your full thing." So that's how that all got started. But anyway, so we had the PT Cruiser, and I think we had the Ford Taurus. I feel like we had another black car or something. And then when we started doing the flipping, we had a VW bus bubble top. I was so
Oh,
excited about fixing that thing up, and
yeah.
we gutted it and started doing all this stuff, and then I'm gonna sell it. I was like, fuck. And then we had a white Volvo. I think it was a station wagon. We had the green Bug, which I had to sell because for the gym rent, which I do regret that. But that thing, it didn't have air or heat. And in the
Right.
wintertime, I took a kid. It was one of the gymnasts that did circus and stuff, and I took her home a couple times, and I said, "Oh
Uh,
my God, I forgot. She's in her leotard. There's no heat, and that thing. I finally took something stuffed
uh,
in the vents. I go, I'm so sorry, and she was so cold all the way home. I felt
oh.
awful. And then I guess. Oh, we had a convertible Sebring. We went through this stretch, and
Yes.
I think when we got, what we did was Drive Time was a rental car company, I believe, and so we
Right.
were buying. All of our cars were from Drive Time for a while because it was a good deal, and maybe Ugly Duckling, I don't know, but we got the Tauruses, I believe, from there, and then the Cruiser was I think that was from a dealership, and then the Sebring we got from Drive Time. I think it was a 2000 and something Sebring, and I
Yeah.
loved the shit out of that car.
And I
It
have a
was good.
picture of that one, I think. Is that the
Okay.
famous one?
Oh, the one. Oh, if it's the one I'm thinking of, let me see.
The Thelma and Louise?
Oh yeah. Okay. So that one we went to a cheer competition, and our kids were grown. That was in like 2000 and I don't know, 2000 and somewhere between 2004 and 2008. But we
Yeah.
went to a cheer competition and we won the big sweepstakes trophy. And I'm all, how the are we going to put this in there? And then I said, hey, let's drive with the top down all the way home. I think it was at La Serna High School. Yeah, that's it.
There we
And I
are.
said, I happen to have two bandanas. I go, dude, we got to take this picture like we're Thelma and Louise. And I just love that picture. I have
That's
it.
so
I
funny.
have it right here. I have it right here. I always have it in this
I
frame
I
so that I
totally
can enjoy
remember.
it.
I
Oh my
remember
gosh.
that. I remember what, like you said about the trophy. That's
Yeah.
funny.
I took my son and two of our gymnast boys. They were taking Japanese class at Orange County at this Japanese school, which that's a whole other thing. Watching my 6'4" son and these little white boys going in with all these little Japanese kids. It was just so random. Like the boys were already taken, and they go, "Hey, you want to join us?" And so
Yeah.
my son went down there too, and we went. I took him one time, but we took the convertible, and I didn't think about it. And those poor little white boys were all sunburned. I felt so bad. Like your parents are
Oh,
gonna think I'm terrible. I never thought about that shit. But anyway, yeah, that car got wrecked. I think not wrecked like out of control wrecked. I think somebody wrecked it on the freeway a little bit. but we got rid of that, and then we had some. I mean, we had a multitude of other cars. But what about you? I don't know. Is that
Let's see. Where are we?
you had a
Oh,
Mercedes too?
oh yeah. Well, that's Jesse gave us the Mercedes. You guys
Oh,
had
so
it
we
first.
wait. We had there was a gray one and a gold one.
The gray one, yeah, because the gold one you ended up giving to Miranda ended up with the gold one at some point.
Okay, so I don't even remember
But I
how we
think
got that.
I think we drove the blue one, and then years later, I think Miranda drove the gold one.
I think
I don't
because
know.
he was. I have to say, Jesse was really good at. He could sell an ice cube. You know, no, I don't want to say the wrong word, but you know what I mean. He
Yes.
he he could do that. He was very good at that, and so yeah. The funny thing was this Mercedes had all the bells and whistles like of its day. The seat would conform to your body
Right.
kind of thing or whatever you call it. You could set one, set two, set three for each person to have
Right.
their own set. Just I was like, oh my gosh, this is how the other half lives. I never
Let's
had
see.
that, you know. But that was after we had
Was it
that. Then we had
that?
the. Let me see. Oh yeah, it was something similar to that, but it was gold. Yeah,
Okay.
but the gray one that we had, it was gray like a primer gray. Like it was not like it was
Yeah, and
clean
that's
in
the
the
one he gave to us.
right, right. That one I don't even remember. I just remember the gold one, but yeah, the gray one. Yeah, we had that. Um, and then we got this blue truck. It was like a Chevy, not
I
a
remember
mini
that.
truck, but yeah, it was small. And the doors like it had to be got to where you could only open the doors on the outside. So I kind of went through the same thing you did. Oh, we had a fastback. He also got a fastback. And the thing about the fastback was that was the one time when my daughter and I were leaving the gym late at night in Calamasa, and we were in the fastback. And as soon as I turned out of the parking lot, we got pulled over, and he said, "Your license plate light wasn't lit." And I'm like, okay. And I just all I could think of was here we are pulling. He goes, what are you doing? Where are you coming from? Whatever. And I
Yeah.
said, my business is over there. And same thing. He didn't say he didn't believe me, but I want to go, did you pull us over because my daughter's black? You know, I did.
Oh.
But it's like I'd never gotten pulled over before, and I never had her in the car. I mean, I know it sounds weird to say, but she's an adult and had her own car. Just for whatever reason, we were going
Right.
the same way that night, and I just left the gym, and it was way after hours because we had done what it was probably a show or something. I don't
You're
know,
cleaning up or
and it was
whatever.
just
Yeah.
that bullshit. Like, oh,
Wow.
and I think I smashed it, and I said, well, sometimes it comes on, and I hit it. I said, but I'll work on getting it fixed. And he's like, okay. But it was just, he was a total
Yeah.
dick. Like, he wanted to get us on something more than a fucking
Something.
tail light.
Yeah.
Like, you know it was because she was black. But anyway, so we had the fastback, but then we had that blue truck. And I think we ended up giving that to Mikey. And that poor guy, he was good at fixing cars, but just, it was just such a piece of
That
shit.
one
Yeah. And
couldn't be
then
fixed.
and then Jesse got this Suburban. It was like that 1970s huge Suburban. It had like when we got it, like the runner lights worked, like the little, looked like Christmas lights, on the bottom. And it
Yeah.
was big and a gas guzzler. It was pretty cool though. I thought, okay, I've always wondered what a Suburban was like to drive. And again, that was short lived because it got fucked up. Somebody hit me and jacked their car up. I was on Katsung Hill, and this guy ran into me with his little whatever sedan, and the little facade thing that covers the radiator in the front, the little decorative thing just getting snapped in half. And I'm like, do you want to exchange information? I go, it only gave me a dent on my metal bumper. And Jesse was pissed. He goes, you should have. I go, I'm not going to have, it's a Suburban. This car's come on. But the guy's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to claim it. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think so because this car was already not, the best.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had that. And then towards the end is we had after we had the Chevy truck, we were doing really well, and he bought cash 2009 Xterra, and I loved that. We took that thing
I remember that
everywhere.
one.
It was great. And then I bought a Chevy Silverado, but that kind of, I don't want to say it was a lemon, but shit started happening. Like the molds started coming off on the side, like somebody had glued
The
it on. I
molding.
was kind of
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah.
And then when we had our our falling out, I was all "Meh," and I said, I want to buy a new car. I don't want this shit anymore. I'm going to get me a new car. So that's when I went, and now I have a 2018 Toyota Yaris IA, and I paid it off last year, so that's nice. So in all my adult life, I've had the Festiva was a new car, the PT Cruiser was a semi new car, and the Escort Pony, and then this car, the Toyota Yaris. But it has been so all the brand new cars I've ever had, and that's the it.
Yeah.
So how
I
about you?
I think the only brand new car I ever had was the Blazer, the Chevy Blazer. I believe it was new when we bought that.
Okay.
I think so. Everything else has been used off the lot or given to us.
Or given,
bought
yeah.
from somebody.
Yeah.
But let's see where I am because have I had a lot of cars. So yeah, we drove this one. This was like the one Jesse gave us during those tough times. There's the Jeep. It looked exactly like that. Oh, I'm not sharing right now.
You're
am I?
not sharing
Sorry.
it.
Sorry.
Where is the Jeep?
keep forgetting I have to do this first. Sorry. Okay. There we go. All right. So there it is.
Yeah.
That Jeep.
Yeah.
And you saw the Mercedes. Okay.
The
So then
Mercedes.
the Jeep, that was fun. That was a really fun vehicle.
Yeah, I really like that car.
And then when we moved, or when I left the gym and I was working full time, for a while I was driving a company truck, but then after that I bought this little Scion, and that was when we still lived in the house you're in.
Yep.
Because that's the driveway. So when we had the
Yeah.
old boat, and so that was that car, and I drove that after we moved in 2015 for a bit, and then Mike bought his new Tundra around that time, right
Yep.
before we moved. And then I bought this after we moved. That's our driveway here in the desert.
Yeah.
And so
How long did you have that? You didn't have that one very
And the-
long. How come?
Well, the reason I traded the Scion in was because it was just the whole bottom. You know how it has that bottom cover thing?
Yeah.
That whole thing had fallen off, and there were just
Oh.
things falling apart on it because the desert just beats cars up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of Mike's workers wanted to buy it from me, and
Oh,
because
okay.
it was paid off, so he
Oh.
bought it.
I didn't know
And-
you guys paid that off. Awesome.
Yeah, well, it was just because of when I moved jobs, I cashed out my retirement to put a down payment on this house.
Oh. Okay.
And I had some left over to be able to pay off the car, and then had
Right.
a little bit of help from
Okay.
family
I gotcha.
member.
Yeah.
But it was only a few $1,000s. It wasn't like I owed that much. But anyway, so this guy
Nice.
wanted to buy it from me, which I should have just turned around but I had already paid off the other stuff. Anyway, long story short, I bought this, and then it started having issues because of the desert life. And
Wow.
when we realized how much storming, I would have to go through places that were so flooded, and as low as it is, I was constantly having to turn around and go. I
Yeah.
couldn't even drive on the freeway safely. I mean, it was just too low. This
Yeah,
is the
I've
same car as yours,
Yeah.
but mine has the hatchback.
Yeah. Right.
So then I traded it in for this recently, and this
Small
is what I
penis
drive.
truck.
This is what I drive now, the small penis truck.
You both
And
got your little small penis trucks.
I actually went with the intention of, buying, like what is it? The Toyota, it's an SUV, a mini SUV that is, the hybrid.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
I was going to go buy one of those, but they were super expensive, and they didn't have any newer ones on the lot because everyone was getting one. So everybody
Right,
wanted one.
right.
So I couldn't
Yeah.
find one. So I
Okay.
finally, when I went there, I thought, Mike's truck is getting old. And I thought it might make more sense for me, because we had just gotten the boat. I thought it might make more sense for me to go ahead and get another truck so that if he needs a truck because his breaks down or something, he has one for work.
Yeah, that's good thinking. Yeah.
And also one that can pull the boat so we're not using his work truck to
Right.
take the boat places. So, and I thought, and then I'd be way off the ground, I'd be safe, it'd be really easy for Jason to get in and out,
Yeah.
because he's so tall and stiff. That was the biggest reason I really traded that little car into, besides the danger
Yeah, he's a big
driving
dude.
around here. He could not get in and out of that car. It was so
Right.
hard for him to get in and out of it. So, anyway,
Well, I was just gonna I was gonna make a shitty comment about why people who get older get bigger vehicles or get those big ass RVs, and that's why I just think it's funny because, you know what I mean? Like when you get older, you think
You're
you're gonna get
safer,
something
so-
smaller.
yeah,
You're safer
safer.
from other people, but they're not
But your
safe
danger
from you.
is to everyone else, right? Your danger is to everyone else.
I gotta say too, what's funny is when I first started driving things like the Ram, the Suburban, big ass trucks and that kind of stuff, I have realized how bad I am about turning right and running over curbs. Oh my god, that was like the worst.
I know. It's taken me forever to get used to parking it because I've been driving those little cars for so long,
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, when we worked at the Y, were you there when we had the gymnastics trailer?
Yeah, no, I was there.
Okay. Because when we got the gymnastics trailer, and viewers, it's a 16-foot flatbed trailer that had gymnastics equipment built onto it.
Yes.
So we would take it to schools and daycare centers and stuff, and then we'd also do
orange show.
demonstrations. Yeah, the orange show all over the place. Anyway, the only vehicle around was the executive director of the Y had a van conversion, one of those big van conversions with the fancy painting and the big round window in the back. That's all we had, and it had a tow hitch on it.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to hook it up, back it up, move it. I had to learn all of that by
Yeah.
myself, and I had to back it into this little spot on the basketball courts at the Y and maneuver it around places. So I learned how to do that by having to drive that thing around. And then when we had our gym, we were still using it.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that. We were?
yeah, we used
That
it.
van?
Not that van. We had a trailer. No, we didn't. I'm sorry. The trailer I'm thinking of is when we moved stuff.
We got a trailer, I think when we left the big gym, I remember a trailer, and then it sat in the back.
Oh,
I
that's
think,
right.
at the
We
San
didn't
Bernardino
take that.
gym.
We didn't take that gymnastics trailer with us. I was thinking we
No.
did, but we didn't.
I gotta tell you though, I don't know why I did this. I remember we had that trailer in the Dodge Ram that we bought for the business, and I took out the taillight because I didn't know what the guy was doing, and I don't know why I was driving it and you weren't driving it if you already knew how to do it. But I remember backing out and crunching the taillights. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. I can't back out a trailer.
Yeah, but
Also, one of the trailers we had, I swear it's when we were at the big gym, and maybe when we first got the trailer, we didn't hook it up, and the shit fell off when we went out of the gym, and it fell.
yeah, what happened was the hitch was on.
Yeah.
The hitch was on, or no, I can't remember. I just remember the chain, we had chained it like we were supposed to, but I think we didn't put the hitch thing down or something.
Oh, something
no, I
happened.
know what it was. We didn't crank the thing up. So when
Yeah.
we went into the dip where the driveway was,
Yeah.
the trailer, the stick thingy that it sits on, it hit the ground.
Yeah.
It hit the ground, I think, and
Okay.
unlatched the
Oh,
trailer
fuck
thing,
it.
and then it was just the chains holding it in place.
I'm glad it wasn't
Yeah.
the parade or something.
Yeah, it was just pulling out of the parking lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the craziest things I've driven. One of the craziest things was a big rig, flat nosed cab over, big rig with double trailers full of hay
Oh
on the
yeah.
freeway at night. And I'll tell you how that happened.
Yeah.
And I actually I did it twice. The
Okay.
first time, my spouse at the time, he was a hay hauler,
Mhm.
and we were going out to Blythe to pick up hay, or to, yeah, there wasn't hay on the trailers when I drove that at that time. It was empty because we
Okay.
were on our way out. So we were right around, just past the Indio Hill where the rest stop is as you go
Right.
up to Whitewater. We were just over the crest where Whitewater is. And he said, I'm going to need to get some sleep. And I said, okay, well, why don't we pull over? And he goes, no, we don't need to pull over. He said, you don't have to shift or anything. So I'm going to lift up and I want you to slide under me and I'll sleep.
Oh.
You can drive and I'll sleep. I'm like, what?
What the fuck?
Are you crazy? What? He said, yeah, it won't be a big deal. Look, I'm going to lift up and you just
Oh
slide
my
under me
gosh.
and take the wheel and you'll be fine.
It's crazy, dude.
I can't believe I did that. I actually did that. And I drove it from around Whitewater all the way to, what was that place? It's a little off ramp just before you hit, what's the name of that street? You know, in Blythe where we would always get off to go.
Lovekin Boulevard?
Yeah, it was right before Lovekin, actually. It was a little side street that comes up right before Lovekin.
Okay.
And he said, just pull off here and drive it like you would any other clutch vehicle. Just, stop at the stop sign. And he said, and then what you're going to do is we're going to put it in first gear. And all I need you to do is just turn the corner really wide. And there's not going to be anybody there this time of night. You'll be fine. Just turn it really wide and then just park on the side of the road because that's headed in the direction where the hay fields are. And he said, you can do it. So
Wow.
I did, because I didn't have to shift. I only had to put it in the first gear and then just move a little bit
crazy.
around the corner. But I had to drag double trailers
Oh my
without
gosh.
knocking out a sign and stuff.
Oh,
So I
jeez.
took it super wide, like he said, and
Yeah.
I did it. And then I put it
That's
in
awesome.
neutral and put the brake on. And I said, I will never do that again. Don't ever ask me to do this again.
God,
But
man,
I
that's
had
amazing.
I had to help him at another time because of
Yeah.
something. I can't remember what happened. There was some reason, but all I had to do was, I think I just had to pull it forward.
Uh-huh.
It was like to butt up against something. I don't remember what it was for, but the things
It's
that we've
crazy,
done, sis, the
Uh,
things that we've done.
By the way, yeah, I was gonna say, we didn't even talk about the stories because my friend and I passed a note, or she passed a note. I think I was driving from a basketball camp at UC Santa Barbara the summer of my junior year, and she passed a note to a truck driver out the window.
Oh my God! Wow.
I don't know, or I did it. I don't remember. Somebody did it, and he was just like, he thought it was going to be our phone number, but we just wrote a happy face that said, "Have a nice day." Fucking took off. But yeah, I mean, doing donuts.
I just remembered there was one other car I missed. So hold
Okay.
that thought about the donuts.
All right.
Where
Donuts.
is it? Let's see. Where
Well, I'll
is
just
it?
keep talking. I used to drive at the parking lots when they were wet at RCC, and then pull on my emergency brake, and we'd spin around. I did that.
Ah, yes.
I was in with a friend in a mini truck on the hills by the freeway, those hills, and the truck was straight down, and I was scared for my life, and he just kept going,
Oh
and I was
my
like,
gosh.
"Oh, I'm gonna kill you, you mother!" When we get done with this, all the shit from under his seat went over our heads and started showering down. It was that
Oh my
straight.
gosh.
Could have died that day. Sorry, Mom.
That is
Yeah.
scary. So this was my Honda
Hey.
CRV when we moved to the
Oh,
desert.
yeah.
Yeah, before that was the one I got after the Scion,
Oh, okay.
and then
I
It
forgot
started
about that one.
having-
Yeah.
it started having issues, and it had really high mileage, and it was having issues. So we
Oh.
traded it in just because we didn't want to have to pay to fix all the issues.
Yeah.
Anyway, not that it
Okay.
matters, but
No, but that's why I said I'm sure there's I
It's
probably
just
had cars that I missed too.
amazing all the cars we've had and we've driven.
Yeah.
Some we didn't own, we borrowed or helped each other
Well,
out
yeah.
with, but man, that's a lot of
Yeah, and
cars in a lifetime.
I want to say, uh, I know you did too. We had help from family members, for a greater part of our adult life. So I'd say almost
Yes.
75% of those cars were definitely help either from somebody giving us money, helping us co-sign, finding
Yep.
someone who had that car, and even if it was for free, you know. And
Yeah.
I will admit first, because and I'm not blaming it on my issues. You know, you can call ADHD mental illness or whatever you want to call it, but just the places in my mind that I was at, just barely like survival mode. And it's not that you're not thankful that that person helped you, or that however you were helped. It's just you're just trying to get to the next thing. You're like, thank you. Okay, I got to get to the next thing. And yeah, I was supposed to check the car's oil and the water and do all these things, but your mind is just so focused on what you got to do, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot. And you know, it's that, so it comes off as being ungrateful, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
you're just trying to get through life. And
Right.
and you know, so we are very thankful for all the help we've gotten on
Oh,
those.
absolutely. Good
So
grief.
thankful.
Yep. But, you know, I think being on the other side of it, I try so hard now not to be judgmental, even if I know how the person got into their situation, you know.
Right.
Things will come
Yeah.
out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, do you remember when?
Uh-huh.
You know, you
Yeah.
better check yourself right now. So I'm glad I went through all that stuff
Yeah.
because now I can appreciate things, and I also can understand how people, you know, what they're going through or what they're dealing with.
Right.
So
Yeah. Definitely.
anyway,
Well, like when we got that Sebring, this convertible, and it was not brand new, but it was, you know, less than 10 years old. I don't remember. And one of our kids said to their friends, "Hey, check out our new car," whatever. When they got in the car, I said, "Dude, don't do that." What do you mean? Like, you don't be boastful. And then, you know, pulling up beside someone who has a shitty car. Like, we just had the shitty car 5 years ago. Don't act like, oh, now we have a new car and you're going to make fun of someone's
Right.
shitty car next to us. I go, don't do that. So, you know, I try to instill in my kids that, you know, we don't make fun of people that have more money than we do, because you and I used to do that a lot. Like, oh, they're richers, they're richers. And then you don't make fun of people that are beneath you. It's like everyone's going to be in some place, and there's no judgment. If you have money, great. If you don't have money, great. Are you a good person? That's all I care about. Are you nice? And do
Yep.
you give your time or your money, what is it?
Right.
Your time, your talent, or your treasure? So
right.
anyway, all right, sis. Well,
I
we
think
beat that dead horse.
we did. So
Beat the
yeah,
shit out of it.
cars. Please tell us your story. Comment. Tell us your story. What was the favorite car? I want everyone out there, because I want you to comment what your favorite car was that you've ever driven. Whether it's
Right.
one you have now or one that you had in the past, or something like, what was the first car you ever drove?
Right.
So, you know, just give
You
us
know
a little
what?
piece of your story.
I don't know. Maybe people don't make it this far in the video, and that's why we
I
don't
think
have
that's
comments.
fine.
Maybe we need to ask the questions at the
Going on
beginning.
up
We need to go-
over an hour.
Now,
Ask-
before we get started,
yeah,
let's
ask
please
the
comment
question.
your favorite car, and then we do the podcast.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it that way.
We're learning,
Anyway,
people. We're learning.
we
But
are, we are.
if you have watched the whole thing, thank you for sticking with us. And
Yes.
again, if I see that we have 35 views, 35 of you mother lovers, at least watch some of this. So,
Right.
but yeah, we'll keep working on it. But we're gonna keep doing these anyway, because we have a good time, and that's all that matters.
We do. All right. So I am going to say that this is it for today, and we will see you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.